And so when all your questions have been answered, end the conversation by saying the magic words. Let me think about that for a minute.
Wow, that's magic words, right?
Right. You've given me a lot to think about. Can we come back to this? And that might not always be able to be done because, you could be heading on train A. They could be heading on train B later. And so just take it as an educational point. Maybe you're able to ask some clarifying questions that might get them to think about something that you're able to kind of know about. But this is kind of the assumption that someone is, giving you all this information, that you're having a conversation to where you might be able to come back to it. So let me think about it. Maybe we can talk about this more later. These words, let me think about it, are like magic because once you say them, you free yourselves from any obligation to respond further at that moment.
Right.
Then you go back and you find all the books you can on the subject. You write down all the points that you can kind of remember that they made that were convincing to you, that were less convincing to you, that weren't convincing to you, and have responses to them. That's your.
And you may not, be able to respond, as you mentioned, because they're in train B with that person. But now you've prepared yourself for anybody else that may have that question. Right. You can respond to them.
Yeah,
right?
and again, this isn't a torpedo where you go back and you go, I've got a 6-page thesis here. You go back and you ask certain questions like, hey, remember when we were talking about this? I've read a little bit more, and what it seems is this is the case. Can you help me understand what you mean by this, or how did you come to that conclusion when these experts say differently? Right. And it might just start all over again. And so you have to decide whether or not it's worth your time. And, if you're honestly considering learning more about it from a person who knows more than you, but, it's rare that you would come into contact with someone who knows, a super abundance about, whatever specific item you're talking about. You might run into Tony and talk about the problem of evil, and he might be able to tell you the entire history from 1,500 years of what different philosophers have taught on problem of evil. But
I'd probably start with Genesis 3.
Oh, sure, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the two big points that we can come into conflict with is this professor, this mode, and it could be someone who's not a professor. It could be a boss. It could be someone of authority. It could be someone who's kind of has the floor, so to speak, and then also meeting the person who knows way more than you.